Amidst the routine of school life, scans, a term representing the relentless monitoring by the quest system, begins to really set the stage. The silence of the classroom is suddenly broken by a sharp, commanding "Hui." Dowan Ha stands frozen, looking visibly shaken as he is told there is no need to be so scared. The authority figure looming over him declares, "You're a representative of the Iljin Gang too now." He commands Dowan to stand, leaving the young man wondering, what is this? But come to think of it, the situation feels completely absurd, and frankly, it just isn't fair. Equipment clatters to the floor in the chaos, adding to the disorienting feeling of being dragged into a world he didn't sign up for. The tension spikes when he is told, "I think I'd better beat your ass here." Dowan Ha stares in disbelief, his internal monologue screaming, "Why am I fighting the final boss already?" This is the harsh reality of his new existence. The system display flickers with the quest notifications, listing creators like Juwon Lee and Tae-sung from Lilab. Caught in the pressure, Dowan stammers, I am now a member of the Iljin Gang too." Desperate, he tries to reason, "We're on the same side. We're not allowed to fight each other, right?" But the cold response he receives is a chilling "same side?" Dowan is still trying to process his predicament, wondering why he was spared from the punishment usually dealt by the Iljin Gang. The answer seems obvious to his aggressor, "Because I'm the representative of Borame now." It feels like some kind of twisted special treatment. The explanation comes as a cold realization, it's because there's a rule that allows for a bit of skirmishes between Iljin members. The power dynamic is clearly being used as a justification for the violence he's facing. Settling ranks by power is clearly quite important in this world, a fact that hits home as Dowan winces in pain, grunting ugh. He begins to realize, so this is why I can. The motive becomes painfully clear, as he is told, "Take revenge on you for messing with Silam." Dowan lets out a strained "erg" and forces his jaw to clench, preparing himself for the inevitable confrontation. Dowan Ha rejects the interaction, firmly stating, "But I'm actually not interested in that kind of stuff." His defiance is met with an immediate, violent response. Dowan Ha is sent crashing into the floorboards, leaving him to grunt a pained arg. Dowan Ha finds himself slumped on the ground, staring up as his aggressor proposes, "I guess we can do that, be on the same side." Caught completely off guard by the unexpected suggestion, Dowan Ha can only muster a bewildered, "What?" The figure continues his ominous pacing, footsteps echoing as he declares, "I'll let everyone know, so don't worry. From this point, none of the affiliates of Silam will mess with you," he finishes with an icy, authoritative tone. A clamor breaks out as the other students begin to murmur amongst themselves, confusion spreading through the room as they whisper, "Hey, you're in class 3 too? You too?" Dowan Ha collapses back into his seat, letting out a ragged, "Ha!" as he mentally processes the terrifying encounter, thinking, "I nearly wet myself on my first day of year 2 of high school." Panic grips him as the reality sets in, Yunsong's not even in my class. So why was he waiting for me here? Dowan Ha stares wide-eyed into the distance, his mind spiraling with one final thought, "That's not the only thing that bothers me." During the second period break time, the classroom hums with the typical energy of school life, yet Dowan Ha can only wonder why things feel so off. By the third period break time, he still can't shake the nagging question, asking himself just why the atmosphere remains so strange. As lunchtime arrives, Dowan sits at his desk surrounded by his array of controllers, feeling an unprecedented sense of isolation as he thinks, "Why isn't anyone asking me to play games for them?" This has never happened before, and as he stands up, he can't help but feel that the strangest part of this all is something else entirely. He surveys the room, coming to the unsettling realization that the classroom is far too peaceful. Generally, when the new school year begins, the classroom dynamics are dictated by a much harsher reality. A sudden bam marks the start of a familiar torment, a stark reminder of the cruelty that usually defines their environment. The bullies mock a classmate, laughing as they demand, "Look at this dweeb. He's drawing some anime character on his desk." The victim groans in pain, illustrating the brutal reality where the Iljins of the class gang up to torment the weakest link. This ritual was designed to show the rest of the students that they could be the next target, reinforcing fear by telling them, "You're now dead meat for the year," to effectively threaten them. Dowan stares forward in silence, the weight of the realization pressing down on him as he processes the cycle of violence that surrounds him. A desk is sent flying, shattering as it collides with a classmate. The unexpected impact leaves everyone in the hallway stunned and reeling from the sudden violence. The fallen student lets out a pained ugh while struggling to recover. It is a harsh reality. Even in the same class, the students are forced into a bitter competition where they must fight for power and decide their ranks among each other. One of the thugs mocks the fallen boy, sneering, "What a loser." As the instigator scratches at his torso, he turns his aggression toward the onlookers, shouting, "What you looking at, punks? Wonsook's the king of class 4 now." Dowan Ha watches the scene unfold, his mind clear. It is a cycle where some people try to piggyback on that power to climb the hierarchy. At this time of the year, school becomes a place where the law of the jungle reigns and survival of the fittest determines who will come out on top. It is just like the wild, where predator and prey engage in a constant, brutal struggle for dominance. The tension breaks with the loud clack of a door, revealing the entrance to the toilet area. Dowan stands there, visibly annoyed, muttering, "Ugh, those animals." Suddenly, a voice calls out, "Dowan," to which he reflexively responds, "Hmm." Dowan's eyes widen in shock as he realizes who is standing before him. "Jaejaemin," he exclaims, completely caught off guard. Before he can react, a strike lands hard. "Shoot." Dowan thinks, reeling back, "I forgot that he went to this school. He must have been waiting to get back at me since the karaoke incident." A figure rushes toward him, shouting Dowan, with frantic intensity, leaving Dowan to stammer, "Why as he tries to regain his composure. Dowan Ha finds himself cornered by an acquaintance who aggressively grabs his hands to offer a mocking congratulations, exclaiming that he heard about Dowan becoming the representative of Borame. In the surrounding tension, a hushed, confused voice lingers nearby, simply asking, "Huh?" The interaction grows even more unsettling as the young man shakes Dowan Ha's hands, sarcastically noting that he seems pretty close with Yunson, much like how close they are, he adds with a hollow laugh. As the physical agitation continues, a distant, uneasy observation ripples through the air. What's wrong with him all of a sudden? Dowan Ha, clearly uncomfortable with the sudden shift in tone, questions why his acquaintance is acting so strangely compared to before. The young man, seemingly desperate to escape the scrutiny, abruptly claims he needs to leave for homework, a transparent lie, considering he isn't even wearing a watch. With a quick clack, the young man hurries off, telling Dowan Ha to put in a good word for him with Yunson. Dowan stands alone, left with a lingering, nagging doubt, did I hit him too hard on the head? Dowan Ha returns to the quiet environment of his classroom, where his classmates go about their mundane routines, blissfully unaware of the intense, system-governed conflict he is currently navigating. Deep in thought, Dowan Ha rests his head on his hand while surrounded by his various camera mounts. As he sits in the stillness, he murmurs, "No one is coming to bother me." Reflecting on the strange recent encounters, including Jaemin's suspicious attitude, Dowan Ha recalls a promise, "I'll let everyone know, so don't worry." From this point, none of the affiliates of Silim will mess with you. The weight of these words sets in, and Dowan realizes with mounting certainty that Yunson wasn't lying. Looking at his setup, Dowan contemplates the reality of being able to enjoy an ordinary school life like this, something he has always desperately dreamed of, and realizes he won't need these recording tools anymore. As he gathers the equipment, a loud clatter fills the air. He thinks to himself that he should be shedding tears of joy, yet an inexplicable, gnawing feeling remains. But why does it feel like something's off? Dowan Ha finds himself in the heat of battle, his mind racing as he reflects on his journey. He recalls his initial misconceptions. At first, he thought the quests were meant to force him to fight thugs, but he realizes with a sinking feeling that there is much more at stake. The gravity of his situation hits him when he is officially recognized as the newly appointed representative of Borame. The realization of his title, Dowan Ha, hits hard. In the end, the system had successfully turned him into an executive of an Iljin Gang. Dowan Ha sits in the quiet classroom, haunted by doubt. He stares into space, agonizing over the system's true purpose. He wonders if it is merely using him to scheme something behind the scenes. He contemplates whether he is overthinking things or if there is a more sinister reality at play. When he realizes he isn't playing games today, he pauses, wondering if his luck has changed and if perhaps someone took pity on his miserable life. Suddenly, Erin appears before him with a beaming smile, holding out a small, gift-wrapped box. Here, she chirps, and it dawns on him that she actually decided to give him a gift. Caught off guard, Dowan stammers, "Hey Erin, what are you doing here?" "What's this?" Erin explains warmly that she felt sorry for not having gotten a chance to thank him for what happened last time, offering the small token as a gesture of her gratitude. Dowan is visibly shaking with disbelief. He repeats internally that there is no way this is happening, unable to process that he has received a present from Erin. As he takes it, he wonders, this isn't a dream, is it? He opens the gift, and a strange, shiny, and unmistakably wriggling object is revealed inside the box. Dowan stares down in utter confusion at the tiny, living octopus squirming within the box, left completely speechless by the bizarre gift. Dowan still struggles to comprehend if this is real or just a dream. He asks, "This is your gift?" Erin explains with a bright smile, "Yes. You got pretty hurt that day. I heard that raw octopus is good for getting back your energy, so I got it." Dowan is visibly rattled by the sight of the wriggling, live octopus, stammering, "I see. Wow. I think my heart's beating faster by just looking at it." Erin responds with genuine cheer, "Really? What a relief." Erin insists, "Hurry and eat it, Dowan. I heard that it's most effective when you eat it as a whole while it's still alive." Dowan, caught off guard by the bizarre demand, stutters, and now, as the container is tossed onto the desk before him, Dowan looks up, puzzled, and says, "Hey." When his classmate responds, "Huh," a strange, red-haired young man suddenly appears behind them, demanding, "Play a game for me." Dowan freezes, reacting with an incredulous, as the mysterious individual, sporting a hoodie marked 1919 and NM/G, looms over him with an unexpected request. The tension rises as the mysterious redhead moves closer to the desk where Dowan and Erin are seated. The atmosphere shifts instantly, and the man asks, "Are you close with him?" Dowan, feeling the sudden pressure of the situation, can only offer a tense silence in response. Dowan's eyes widen in alarm as he realizes the gravity of the encounter, his internal thought echoing a desperate, "No." The mysterious figure leads the way to a room marked with a sign that reads "Darkroom," signaling a shift into a more covert and potentially dangerous environment. Inside the dimly lit, red-hued room filled with camera equipment, a voice remarks to the man, "You decided to team up with someone? What a surprise." The speaker is revealed to be Dowan Ha, who sits calmly on a sofa, looking at the newcomer with cold, calculating eyes. He observes, "Dowan, you've never done that before." Dowan gazes back with an unreadable expression, his voice dripping with an edge of challenge as he asks, "Are you curious?" Kijin Kim, a high school sophomore from Silim, smiles as he adjusts his safety goggles. He dismisses the idea of a simple confrontation, noting that he is sure there are complex reasons behind the recent events. He flips through a stack of cards in his hands, reflecting on the situation. He admits, "I thought that if I suddenly threatened him one-on-one, he'd take action." However, the outcome was unexpected. Rather than choosing to attack or block, the target simply winced in pain. Kijin considers other possibilities, wondering if perhaps the target was only pretending to be scared to fool them. Ultimately, he realizes it was neither of those things. Despite the physical reaction, he saw something else in the target's eyes, a desperate, searching look that hinted at a deeper objective. Lowering his goggles, Kijin muses that if that was truly the case, it wasn't just a sudden surge of courage. He notes that he felt a similar intuition at the assembly meeting and reaffirms that there is something uniquely special about Dowan Ha. The conversation continues as one asks if that is the reason he decided to team up with Dowan, but Kijin quickly corrects them, stating, "That's not why. You said that you weren't curious." He offers a knowing, enigmatic smirk and adds, "Just know this for now. It's going to be way more fun." The mood shifts abruptly as a young woman looks up in surprise, calling out, "Dowan." Dowan Ha walks away silently, his steady footsteps echoing as he clutches his phone tightly, leaving the scene behind. A student stands over his classmate, who is slumped over his desk in an apparent deep sleep, and demands he wake up. Elsewhere, a man with a tattooed arm relaxes with a drink, noting how eerily quiet Class 3 has been lately. As he lifts a mysterious card, he muses that the unusual silence is likely all due to that particular punk. He chuckles at the realization that the troublemaker, Song Yu-so, is in the same class as Dowan Ha, leading him to believe something interesting is bound to happen. A photo is revealed, showing the bloodied and defeated figure of Song Yu-so lying on the ground, a shocking display of violence captured on camera. Dowan Ha takes the phone, his identity clear as he prepares to deal with the situation at hand. The terrified student holding the phone snaps back at him, desperately threatening to report him to Yunsong if he doesn't stop. The red-haired student lifts his head slowly, identified as Song Yu-so, a member of the Gwanek district Iljin Gang, and stares down his challenger. With a cold, intimidating glare, Song Yu-so, who holds an affiliation with the Bongchen Gang, asks his opponent exactly what he just said.